Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a whole new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe, with my co-host back in the seat, Cantu. How was the weekend? How are the vibes for you today?
Good, good. It was a good weekend, very short. But couldn't go to the game this weekend. Had to go fix some plumbing issues that needed to be done. And then on Sunday, we don't really go on Sundays because it's easy travel day for the team. But so I took advantage, went to go play some golf real quick, and pretty good. How about yours?
Pretty good. I mean, like I said, just was pretty much at the stadium the whole weekend, honestly.
I know
Just
you've been
Sunday,
putting in work.
just Sunday, I just did not go. But other than that, pretty much being busy. Birthday dinner too, as well on Saturday night. But talk about plumbing. Oh shit, you got that? Um, Wasn't them videos like with the plumbers that go under the damn sink, fucking jeans hanging out and shit?
I
I bet
wasn't
you that
all
was
that.
you. I bet you that was you.
I
Don't even give
wasn't
me
all
that.
that. I wasn't
Don't
all
even give me that. But episode 200, Angel, 200 episodes of Full Steam
that. Two
Ahead.
zero
Wow.
zero.
The 200, like you said. Shout out to everybody that has been through this journey since 2022 all the way to 2024. This is year three for me, Angel. This is year two for him. But shout out to everybody that has been on this journey, on the ride, as we can say, since this is a train locomotive podcast for the Houston Astros. But we're going to title this one pretty sweet. Astros take down the LA Dodgers 2017 rematch of that World Series. Yeah, Dodgers came into town. Freddie Freeman was supposed to be on the lineup. Praise to his family and everything is going on with him. I think his younger
Absolutely.
son right now is dealing with something. I don't. Hopefully not too serious, but praise to their family. But other than that, I mean, the Dodgers still came into town with Shohei Ohtani. Their fan base is pretty big. They came in locked and loaded. I want to say the whole left field side by the third base dugout all the way kind of towards the Crawford boxes was a sea of blue and white.
Yeah, usually Dodger fans travel well. There's a bunch of Dodger fans everywhere, so that's no surprise. I would say the Dodgers and the Yankees are teams. Like Cubs, Cardinals too are teams that have a lot of traveling fans.
Yeah, I want to say they usually do some type of parade. They have like a group on Facebook or something like that. I think they're called 694. I don't know if that's the area code over there in LA. Like I said, I don't have really too much about it, but had a parade down the street walking into Minute Maid Park. I want to say they said they had 500 fans in that little quote unquote mini parade. So, like
Okay.
you said, they travel pretty well. Um, but I mean, it's the West Coast, East Coast teams like you were talking about. They're going to travel wherever their team goes. But pretty much the Astros take down the LA Dodgers, like we said. Um, Game one was pretty much the Framber Valdez show. Offense did show up a little bit on that. Game two, playing a little bit of catch up here and there. And then sure enough, a little walk off by Alex Bregman. Then the third game, I mean, it was pretty close, but just went out of the reach of the Astros. But sure enough, the Astros did take care of business and won 2 out of 3. I think you got to be excited if you're an Astros fan, especially a team like that that's probably going to be going into the postseason, representing the National League West of that division. But the record is 55-50, and the Astros are still leading the American League West, even though the Seattle Mariners did sweep the Chicago White Sox. The Astros are leading in percentage points. I think it was like 524 or 624, and
Uh,
the Mariners have like 523, right?
524 Astros have 523 Mariners.
Yeah, so the Mariners are 56 and 51. Angel, since you have the update right there with the standings, do you have the ranking of the Rangers?
The record
Yeah, record. My fault, not ranking.
51 wins, 57 losses. They're 4.5 games back from first place.
And they did get swept by the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But a lot of going on in this show. Recap of that Dodger series. Like I said, we have our little objectives on the side. The trade deadline updates because the deadline will be this coming Tuesday. Who's invited to the Carne Asada? Pittsburgh Pirates roll into town. A former NL Central rival comes to Minute Maid Park. Train station injury news. 2024 draft class had officially signed and around the horn. But Angel, before we get this thing started, tell the people where they can follow us and everything like that.
Absolutely. Look down at the clicker right here, and you can, if you want to hear our podcast, either you missed one or you want to just hear our wonderful voices again, you can get those at Apple Podcasts and Google and Spotify podcasts. Sorry. Uh, Also, if you want to if you want all the latest Astros updates from the stadium, from right, breaking news and all that good stuff, you can follow us on X, Threads, Instagram. We got you covered. TikTok for some fun videos with Astros players, uh and like I know Lorenzo, follow his TikTok as well. He's posting some players that that are not posting on Full Steam Ahead because they're like from visiting fans too, and we're trying to get those updated as well. And then also follow our Skina on top for the bet. That way, there you go. On top, to get the latest scoops, latest stories on players, like take a more personal deep dive into their lives, how they got to the pros, and all that good stuff.
Definitely. I got a good one on Anthony Banda, Corpus Christi, Texas native.
Yeah,
So I have a little story on that. I haven't finished it yet, but we'll get it up there, uploaded on ourskinner.com, like Angel had said. But let's start off that Dodgers series. And we're going to start off. Usually we go with the pitching. We're going to start off with the offense, man. Passing the baton, and we're going to specifically go to game 2. They are losing. The Astros are losing 5-0, leading into the bottom of the 6th. Astros record when they're trailing in that specific inning in the 6th, they are 6-36. That is their record when they are trailing from the 6th inning. Well, the Astros kind of say, hey, hold my beer. I'm going to do something that's different. Scored 4 runs in the 6th inning. And shout out to these Astros hitters, specifically hitting with 2 outs. That is very hard to do consecutively. Yainer Diaz, RBI single. Jeremy Pena, RBI single. Jake Myers, RBI bloop single. Victor Caratini comes in to pitch hit from Mauricio Dubon. He said, you know what? I'll do an RBI single to left as well. So they scored 4 runs right there, all with 2 outs, and all of them being an RBI single. Well, the Dodgers came back up. I think Gavin Lux hit a solo home run
yeah.
in the 7th
No,
inning or the 8th inning.
it was Kevin Biggio.
Kevin Biggio. Everybody knows about the Biggios. Obviously, Craig Biggio being a Hall of Famer in Houston. But the son that was a former bad boy, ball boy, hits a home run in the stadium of Minute Maid Park. 8th inning, Dodgers get that run back. Next thing you know, it's 6-4. Well, here come the Astros again. Yainer Diaz, great tweet by Angel right there. Olympics are here. That boy is running like he was hurtling over them hurdles. My God, the speed was on display for Mr. Yainer Diaz. Getting that hustling triple. Jeremy Pena is up next with an RBI single to bring him in. Big Bad John Singleton hits a bat flip in that first game, comes up in a crucial moment of that game, ties it with 2 outs, 3-2 count with an RBI single to right. Obviously, passed through the first and second base hole. Next thing you know, tied up at 6. 9th inning comes. Alex Bregman kind of reminisces about that 2017 Game 5 RBI hit to bring in Derek Fisher to give the Astros that win. Well, he's like, you know what? Let me do it again right here. Alex Bregman walked off on the second pitch of that at bat to the train tracks over there visiting Bobby Dynamite. And Alex Bregman, that was a second hit off of Blake Trinan too. Blake Trinan has been in the American League West with his time with the Oakland Athletics. And Alex Bregman doing a phenomenal job in the post game. I think it was either Jeremy Pena or Alex Bregman said it best themselves. Giving the other guy the opportunity, passing the baton.
And that was Jeremy Pena.
Jeremy Pena, I mean, I want to say Brian McTaggart had it on a video. And, I mean, pretty much the Astros have really been doing that this whole season. They've been passing the baton to the next batter. We've had a couple of episodes talking about that, and they've done a pretty phenomenal job. You're not hearing the guys like Jose Altuve. Obviously, Alex Bregman did get that big hit, but you're not hearing like the Yordan Alvarez or the Altuves in this lineup. Obviously, Kyle Tucker still dealing with an injury, but the guys like Jeremy Pena, Yainer Diaz, Jake Myers, John Singleton, those are the guys that stepped up in the middle to the end of that lineup, Angel.
Yeah, this win right here, that Game 2 win, was honestly, if you're a baseball fan, it's just beautiful. Just because, like, Astros, like, I like how they're not too reliant on the home run. Like they don't live and die off the home run, and they, put up great at bats, get the base hits when they need to be. And this was a great team win. This is a win that kind of, gives you a little, like, pumps you up a little bit and gives you that motivation. And that at bat by Josh Singleton, that's ones that kids, when they're practicing their swings in the air, they always put themselves in 2 out, 3-2 counts, and it wasn't a home run, but it was an RBI hit, and that works just as well as a home run. And then Alex Bregman with ice in his veins, he was pretty remarkable hit. I think that's the farthest ball he's hit all year, honestly. And no, I'm being for real. Like, I think that's the farthest ball he's hit all year, and the and I'm glad how he was thinking fastball. First pitch, I believe fastball high and inside, was able to pull the hands through, and that's all she wrote.
You got to give credit to Yordan Alvarez too, being ready in the on deck
Oh
circle.
yeah.
Did you see how he just tossed the bat up and
Mm-hmm.
he basically did the same thing as in
What
2023
it was
ALDS.
the weight bat. It was the
Yeah,
weight bat. He tossed it up. Yeah.
and that's even more impressive. A weighted bat, showing the muscles off Big Yordan.
Yeah.
But that was cool seeing the Astros recreate that video too. I think they have it on their social. Obviously, the picture too. We posted it on our social as well. But like you said, a well-rounded team win right
Mm-hmm.
there. Joshua even said it best himself. That was the best game of the year so far. I don't know so far. I mean, not so far, obviously, but game of the year. But it's up there. It is really up
Mm-hmm.
there because this is a team that's going against another team like the Dodgers. I don't know if you've seen Joe Kelly in
Yeah.
one of the, there's a video circulating in social
He's a
with
clown.
him talking about Ronel Blanco hitting Gavin Lux. There's no history. There's no history there. There are 4 Astros from that 2017 roster. Same goes for the Dodgers. I think from the Dodgers roster, it's Kike Hernandez, Clayton Kershaw. Was Joe Kelly a part of that roster or no?
I think so.
I don't think so either. So I want to say them two for sure. I know that from the top of my head. Obviously, the manager Dave Roberts was on there. I think Clayton Kershaw had said like he does not like coming to Minute Maid Park. He always thinks about it. Kike kind of like basically said, "Who gives a shit at this point?" He's already moved on. Some players don't. Some players do. But like you said, a well-rounded team win
Yeah.
right there from the Houston Astros.
Joe Kelly was in 2017. He was with the Boston Red Sox, another team that was known for scandal as well. So it's
They were
just
dealing. They were dealing with the Apple watches. I
Mhm.
want to say them are the Yankees.
He's just doing it for clout, I think, just to get his face on a screen. He's a clown.
You heard it there, folks. But let's move on to the good starting pitching. Usually we talk about starting pitching, what's going to be good, what's bad. If there's ugly, well, we'll call this kind of neutral. We'll call it good because starting off game 1 of this series, Framber Valdez looked lights out. Like nationally TV on Apple TV, even though people might not have the subscription for it. Framber Valdez looked phenomenal on the mound. This is a guy that you said that needs to be hot for the Astros in the second half of the season. 6 1/3, 4 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, 96 pitches, 65 of them are strikes. There's some innings that he was starting to get shaky. 1 through 4, I mean, he looked lights out. But in the 5th inning, started to get a little shaky here and there. I'm trying to remember who had hit the ball. I can't really remember the top of my head, but made a crucial play by Alex Bregman, making sure he got to that ball. And Kike Hernandez overruns second base, applies the tag. Miguel Vargas is barely coming in to step on home plate. Vargas had a little stutter step. If he didn't have that stutter step, he would have scored. The run would not count. Joe Espada and the Astros challenged it. Sure enough, overturned. The guy got out before the runner scored. That's what made Valdez's stat line scoreless from that start.
Oh
So
yeah,
very, very heads up play from a LSU player like Bregman.
yeah. I think one thing about Bregman is that when the bat's not going, he's a defensive whiz. He's out. Like, I think later in life, if he does pursue, I think he'll be a great coach just because he is a really great baseball mind, has a high IQ. Like, he's always aware of what's going on, where the runners are, where, stats and all that good stuff. So yeah, he's very good.
This is a guy that when he committed to LSU or he was at LSU, they had to make him a baseball key card to have access to go into the stadium. That's
Okay.
how this guy eats, sleeps baseball all day, 24/7 for a reason, like you were saying. And remember, this guy was a former shortstop. So the forehand, I think is it forehand? Man, I'm
Front
already
hand, is
missing my front hand. Yeah, I'm already missing my baseball terms. But obviously, the forehand was there for him, remembering them times at shortstop, made a crucial play, giving Framber that scoreless start, 11th quality start in the books, tied a season high with 10 strikeouts, and Framber has been on a roll. He's won 4 of his last 6 starts. The other 2 starts in them 6 were no decisions. So Framber has really looked phenomenal after the All-Star break and even before the break had started.
Yeah, and this is a good start. I get him; he was a little shaky with Seattle, but that's a team that's seen him before, you know. And then the Dodgers, I'm sure they see them as well, but not just this season. And being able to pitch like that against a playoff team, that's always pretty wonderful.
Yeah, last time the Dodgers had faced Framber Valdez, you got to go back to 2020. Last episode we talked about it. 2020 Framber Valdez is different from now of the Valdez that's in the present pitching for the Houston Astros. Last but not least on the starting pitching, Spencer Arrighetti. Oh, well, not really. We got 2 more pitchers. Getting too ahead of myself. Arrighetti looked really good. There's no secret or doubt about it. Yes, they did end up losing that game, but you cannot put that on Arrighetti. 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. That is 97 pitches were thrown. 65 of them were strikes. His command was there, Angel. I mean, he had really great command of his fastball. His off speeds were really great. Telling out of the zone, making hitters chase. 8 strikeouts are in the book. So the command was there for him. Third straight start pitching through the 6th inning as well. From them last 3 starts, the offensive production for him has been just clueless. It's just not been there for him whatsoever. Going back from the Rangers before the All-Star break, he only allowed, not allowed, but he only got 1 run from the Astros offense. The Oakland Athletics, after the All-Star break, 0 runs for him. The Dodgers come into town, same thing goes for him. He gets no run production with a 0. A goose egg. So the numbers, if you go look at them, they don't look really great. His last starts have been really good. I think he has a under 4 ERA in his last 4 or 5 starts, if I'm not mistaken. It's just the offensive production just haven't been there for him. His command's looking good each start, but obviously if you don't get no runs on the board for him, there's no way he's going to win any of these ball games.
Yeah, Arrighetti did his job. For Arrighetti, like we said earlier, like I talked about command. When his command's on, he's locating his fastball, mixing up his pitches, he's gonna be good. And when it's not, it's it's typically a hard day in the office for him. I'm trying to see how many strikes he threw.
This start,
Yeah,
65.
65 strikes. There you go. Out of how many pitches?
97.
There you go. So again, I was trying to look up the other ones, but I mean, for him, it's just throwing strikes, I think. And throwing strikes and making his off speed deceptive, like not just throwing, like starting him out of the zone because hitters are not going to chase. I mean, yeah. So I think just make a good deceptive pitches and throwing strikes.
Yeah, that Texas game, I believe he only gave up 1 earned run. The Oakland Athletics game was 4 earned runs. Yeah. And then this Dodger game was 3 earned runs. So he's doing his job. It's just, you're going to get that Justin Verlander treatment, I guess, too. Because you remember when Justin Verlander was pitching either in, 2019 or 2022, he just had no run support at all.
Yeah.
And, and right here, it's pretty much the same thing as Spencer. So as long as Arrighetti continues to pitch the way he's been pitching in these last couple starts, there should be no problem. Confidence is there for that kid. Now, last but not least, Ronel Blanco. We'll put him at the bottom of this starting rotation from the 3 games against the Dodgers. Ronel Blanco, his stat line, 4 1/3, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. He did throw 99 pitches, 60 of them were strikes. I mean, from the get-go, he threw a lot of pitches. I mean, if you break down his innings, I know the first 2 innings I had wrote down in my notes. First inning, he threw 21 pitches. Second inning, he threw 28. He was already at 49 pitches through 2 innings of baseball. So you already know it's going to be a hard day at the office for him. His pitch count was going to continue to elevate. But these are back-to-back starts. He's given up 4 earned runs. Has given up 14 earned runs this month of July. I'm pretty sure this is the it for him in this month. But he has given up 14 earned runs in the month of July. The most by any month he's pitched in so far this season. Angel, I got to ask you, 14 earned runs, I believe in 4. I know 5 starts at least. Do you think fatigue is starting to set in for him? Do you think the Astros need to go to a 6-man just to give him that extra day of rest? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm looking at his pitches that he's thrown. So I took three random starts. So give me a second. On April 27th against the Colorado Rockies, Framber Valdez's pitches range from 83 miles per hour to 95 miles per hour. The, let's go May 9th against the Yankees. His
I was
pitches,
about to say, is that Framber Valdez or are we talking about Ronel
uh,
Blanco?
Ronel Blanco.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. Just double
Yeah.
check.
On May 9th against the Yankees, Ronel Blanco's pitches range from 77.7 miles per hour to 95.3 miles per hour. And if we look at July 27th, his pitch velocity ranges from 78.5 to 94.9. So it could be a little bit of fatigue stepping in, like we've been saying in the past two uh, previous podcasts, is that he is pitching the most he's ever done in his career. Uh, Most innings he's ever pitched in his career. So I think once Luis Garcia comes back, he can, if he comes back throwing, the way he's supposed to, I think that can alleviate some break from No Blanco because maybe they do go to a 6-man rotation there. But as of right now, I don't think they have enough to go into a 6-man rotation. When you have Jake Bloss pitching in the rotation, I mean, I'm not throwing any dirt on him. I mean, I think he's done a pretty good job, but that's not an ideal pitcher they want throwing right now, especially when they're in playoff contention. So I would say once Luis Garcia comes back, if he comes back healthy, no setbacks, throwing what he could, maybe you do go to a 6-man rotation, but I don't think it would happen even then because I think Jake Bloss gets the that short end of the stick until Justin Verlander comes back. So it's just depending on how the injuries are. They're still waiting on Justin Verlander to come back and Luis Garcia. Once you have those two guys back, I mean, there's no way you take Ronel Blanco off the rotation or anything like that. So I think once they get those two players back, maybe the possibility for a 6-man rotation does appear, but it's just the way how they play it.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it before. This guy was, I think, believe it was your first half MVP, correct if I'm not mistaken, for the
Mm-hmm.
Astros. I mean, he was my first half too, but I went with Hunter Brown, and I mean, he's just done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's really carried the whole rotation all the way to where they're at right now. They're playing for a postseason spot, and they're trying to win another division title in the American League West. This guy was the reason why the Astros have been winning so many ball games when he was pitching. But stuff like that happens. I was looking too at the velocity, just making sure on his four seamer. His four seamer, the lowest was 92. The highest he averaged was 95. So it looks like it's still there, but at the same time, too, I mean, he's already gone over his any threshold of his career in a season. Um, but like you said, until the Astros get a guy, either in the trade deadline, which we'll talk about here in a second, Luis Garcia coming back if everything all goes well for him, and Justin Verlander too.
Oh, and then also, just to keep in mind, is that teams have a lot more film on Ronel Blanco now. He's had what, like 18 starts or 18 starts already, or like 15 plus starts. So they have more film on him. They have more detail of his changeup, fastball, where he likes to locate. So that can be a big thing too.
Yeah, game of adjustments. A game of adjustments. But before we end the Dodger recap and move on to the trade deadline updates, a lot of Joe Kelly banter on this show today. I wish they would ban Joe Kelly for life. I'm not going to say this one, but I'll just show it. Yeah, everybody else can read that. Astrowork Craig, we haven't had you on in a while, man. It's been so long. But last thing for Joshua, they're going to have to acquire a starter before they can go to a 6-man rotation. They don't have any more starting pitchers. So he basically agrees what you were saying, Angel, which we'll already go on and talk about the trade deadline updates. As of Monday, I mean, Astros GM Dana Brown did talk and met with the media. A little bit of quotes here and there. What we've got, quote from Dana Brown in the beginning of the whole video that we had posted. Well, I had posted. It just says no trades yet, but we're in the grind. That's what he said. The asking prices are still high for some prospects, some players. GMs talking to one another. He did say starting pitching is the priority without a question. That's a quote from him. Instead of going after a number one guy, which I mean you can try. The obviously the GMs on the other end of the deal, all they have to say is no. That's all they have to say. But Brown's focus as of right now is looking into maybe a number 3 or number 4 starter in a rotation. Angel and I have talked about that too. And some more quotes from Brown. Quote, if we can get more than one starter, that's great. If we could get one big one, that's good too. End of that quote. And then the last quote that I have seen, he said, we were open to rentals from the beginning. I mean, ideally, if we could get a guy that has more years with control, that's better, obviously. But if we can get the right rental, we'll take the right rental as well. And then to talk about the prospects, because that's the biggest thing of any deal when it comes to the trade deadline is prospects. Well, Brown said no prospects are untouchable. Untouchable.
I would
Um,
I would say to that the only one I know you said no untouchables, but I would say Joey Luperfield is the only one that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and when we talk about, we'll have that here like in a second. Let me just read off the Dana Brown on today's pregame radio show on the Astros. He said we've even talking to teams that are contending. Maybe they have a surplus. Maybe we have a surplus. Maybe there's something we can do to swap players out, and both teams will still be pretty good. Okay, let me start off with the rental part because we've heard him talk about rentals was probably like the last thing on his list to look at. He did not want a rental. He wanted to go after guys with team control, 2 to 3 years. By all means, that is the deal that I would say every GM would want. I believe that's every GM that they would want somebody with at least 2 or 3 years of team control. But now he's saying we're open to. He said we were open to rentals from the beginning. Maybe he was right. Maybe they were open to them in the beginning. But as of right now, I mean, shit. If you go look at the list, which we've seen players that made sense for the Astros, at least from our perspective, they've already been traded. Starting pitcher Zach Eflin traded from Tampa Bay to Baltimore. Third base and first base Isaac Perez, who was in the rumors of being located to the Astros in interest, he's going to the Chicago Cubs. I was shocked on that one. I did not see
Yeah,
that one coming.
especially because the two teams that supposedly were heating up on Isaac Perez were the Yankees and Dodgers, and then they Cubs to put him off. Pretty good.
Yeah. So the only thing with me on the deal with what he was saying on the media on Monday, I mean, the rentals from the beginning, that's the one that was kind of like, okay, well, you said in the beginning of the season, well, whenever the Astros kind of lose some games, and then next thing you know, they started to heat up, and then next thing you know, they're in contention to buy at the trade deadline. You were open from rentals from the get go. So why are the Astros not looking at rentals? It's kind of like now you're rushing into looking at guys that are rentals at the last minute.
I think you kind
That's
of
in my
answered.
opinion.
I think you kind of answered the like that question right like before, like when you said that every GM would want a guy with team control. So I think that was the Astros' first option. So I'm not saying like they were avoiding rentals, right? But I'm saying they're trying to get the best deal. So you're gonna look at guys with control like Isaac Baez, like you said, or uh, Zach Eflin, right? You're gonna look at guys like that. But the thing with guys like that is that the price is higher. Look, I mean, giving up Christopher Morel and two prospects for Isaac Baez, that's a high asking price. Now, could the Astros have done it? I think so. Josh McCormick, you can give up like a Will Wagner, Jacob Amaya, Kennedy Corona are pretty guys, Pedro Leon. But if we can throw Pedro Leon in there, he's hot, so you would probably ask for somebody else in return, right? So I don't know. I think they're looking at guys with control first. Worst case scenario is that they get a rental. Now, the thing with what Dana Brown's been preaching is if they do get a rental, the price has to be right. Like they're gonna be giving up
Mhm.
the whole prospect, like their whole farm
The
system
whole
for
farm
rental.
system.
Yeah, that's the thing there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like to me, in my eyes, in my opinion, if you wait too long, those rental guys that you were looking at are going to be gone. And then how you're going to end up trying to find a way to get a starting pitcher in the market because every team right now is looking for starting pitchers. At best believe they're going to find the best fit for their ball club, either if they're rebuilding or they're retouching up their team. They're going to take the prices right. The better price, whatever's there, whatever package is really good for our team, that's going to benefit for us in the future. We're going to take that on.
Okay.
But let me get the rest out of the news from the rumors around Major League Baseball. John Morosi, who's well known in MLB Network and of course in the baseball world, has mentioned two starting pitchers for the Astros. He did quote, Jack Flaherty has been the subject of trade dialogue between the Tigers and Astros, sources say. And then another tweet, he said Eric Fedde is another star the Astros are actively considering. He's a stronger candidate for the White Sox to move if Garrett Crochet is not dealt. Another guy comes into the mix, John Heyman, New York Post, baseball columnist, has mentioned another starter and a bat. He said, quote, Astros are targeting top rentals like Kikuchi, which is Yusei Kikuchi from the Toronto Blue Jays, and Flaherty as well. Prospect requests are likely going to be an issue in cases of stars with team control. He just said it right there. And then another one, he says, Yainer Diaz is expected back as early tonight, which was a Friday tweet. He's drawing trade interest too. Rays have made half the significant trades so far, more than all the obvious also rans slash sellers. So don't rule it out. Fits, Astros, Mariners, others, in quote. You say Kikuchi is going to be a rental if the Astros do target him. Jack Flaherty's also going to be a rental if they target him. Yainer Diaz, which I think that could be a good fit for the Astros if they couldn't get Perez. Maybe you go and look at Yainer Diaz, who's a first baseman, not a third baseman, but a first baseman on the other side of the corner. I believe he has 2 years of control left on his contract, or a year left on his of control on his contract. So that could be a good fit. But the rentals now, I honestly think that's what the Astros are looking at. I honestly think it's rentals now. Team control guys are really not there. Yainer Diaz is a guy that's on team control. There's also been rumors of Jameson Taillon that's on the market still. There was another tweet that made a great point. I want to give him a little shout out, little love. Astros Josh did make a good point. Should the Astros maybe look into Blake Snell? Justin Verlander doesn't look like he's going to be making his vesting option. Remember, he has to pitch 150 innings. So if he doesn't hit that threshold of 150, he will be a free agent next year. Angel, the platform is yours. What do you think? How is everything looking so far for the Astros? The trade deadline is Tuesday.
Well, I mean, I don't think the Astros are going to get Blake Snell. But I also did that about Josh Hader as well. So you never know. But he just came back. Blake Snell just came back from a 15 strikeout outing, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 15 strikeouts. The price is going to be high. Mm-hmm. The Astros, I don't think have enough prospects to make that deal. And let me look at the standings right now. How far are the Giants away from the wild card?
Plus the Giants too. Since you're looking at that real quick, they are playing losing teams this coming month,
and they're only 3.5 games back from the last wild card spot. I mean, if you're the Giants, I'm saying you're still in it. Like, you're still competition. So you're gonna need Blake Snell as your ace to help you get there, right? I'm looking more at guys like Kyle Quantrill. I've been big on him. He's a guy that avoided arbitration this year, but he has 1 more year of arbitration before he comes as unrestricted free agent. So is Austin Gomber. Avoided arbitration this year, but has 1 more year of arbitration left. I like the Eric Fed idea. I think he's a guy that the Astros could even extend. I think he's a good guy that can get a team-friendly deal there just because he's trying to make his way back there. I really like that outing. So, I mean, there's guys out there. Now, I think Justin Verlander will be back by September, maybe even a little bit before. So I think getting a 3 or 4 guy would be ideal. You remember, we also got Luis Garcia on the verge of coming back too. So I don't think they need to sell all their chips to get a number 1 guy. So, I mean, you also got to think about Alex Bregman. He might be leaving. Kyle Tucker might be leaving in a year. So it's just, you got to think about that like that. You need a farm system for injuries. So it's just, you can't give away all your chips just for 1 guy.
Yeah, Eric Fed, he has another year on his contract on 2025. 2026, he will be an unrestricted free agent at the age of 33. If the Astros get him, obviously, you say Kikuchi is another guy that the Astros were looking at, which is going to be a rental. The numbers I'm very not too ecstatic about if you're like looking at the Astros shoes, but he is a lefty. That's another lefty that's in the starting rotation. Another big thing, if the Astros match up with, like, if they do make the postseason, they match up with the Yankees. Kikuchi has really pitched really well against the Yankees in his career. I want to say he has like a 3.20 ERA, I want to say, against the Yanks. But that's even if the Astros do get there. But I mean, if you're the Astros, the Mariners are already making trades. Randy Arozarena, big splash off the board for them. Yimi Garcia, they picked up another bullpen arm for their bullpen. Rangers just made a trade too, getting Carson Kelly from the Detroit Tigers. Astros right now have 0 moves.
Now, what's the difference between the Astros and those two teams?
I don't know. Tell me.
They have a farm system they can give out.
No, okay.
They have prospects that, they have a surplus of prospects in the Astros though.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the difference.
But if you look at the trades that they've given out, which Carson Kelly doesn't really have to do nothing with the Astros because catcher is set for them. But and same thing goes for the outfield too for the Astros, getting the Mariners getting Rosarena. If you look at the trades though, how they got them guys, I mean, they really didn't give up a lot. They didn't really give up a top prospect either. I honestly thought when they gave up a Rosarena, I thought they were gonna give up Henry Ford.
Yeah,
that's the one guy. That's the one guy I really thought they were gonna give up because the catching depth over there in Tampa Bay is not the best, and Ford is one of the top prospects, at least the one top catching prospects in the league right now.
Yeah, who did I'm looking at the Detroit free agent, top prospect list. Who did the Rangers give over there?
I do not have it on me right now, but I'm guessing maybe a guy that's probably out of the top 10.
Yeah,
there's no way they give up a top 10 prospect for a guy like Kelly.
They didn't.
It's going to be a backup.
Yeah, they didn't. I was just double checking that.
But if you're an Astros fan, I mean, how do you feel of the progress that the Astros are making right now? I mean, you're looking at your division rivals making all these moves, trying to get their team better. And you made a good point. The prospects are the biggest thing, but they're not giving an arm and a leg from their prospect list. They're not giving top 10 guys to make their team better. I don't know if everybody else is like, well, it's the Houston Astros, which I highly doubt. They have a grudge on them. They don't want to get them better. They don't want them to make the postseason again. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think so either, but it's like, man, I really don't have like the words to explain it. But
well, we said from the get-go, since we started talking about the trade deadline and probably early in the season, it's gonna be hard for the Astros to trade for somebody just because of the debt, the money, right? So I'm sure they're working.
And he said they're working their tails off.
Yeah,
literally, and I believe it.
Yeah, I'm sure working night and day to get a deal done. But again, it's a seller's market, and right now, the Astros are limited of what they could spend, right? So I think you just gotta find the right deal, but just gotta get lucky sometimes.
Let's say if they do not make any trades at all, are you okay with the Astros, what they have right now, to make a World Series run or possibly even an ALCS run?
They need a starter.
So you don't feel confident enough that they can make the postseason with this roster right now?
You see, what team with the Astros, you can't really doubt them. Like I feel like they're always in it. But if you want to have an efficient team, a team that you're comfortable with, like with players you're comfortable throwing out there in any situation, I'd say you need one more starter. Even if you don't get a bat, I think they're good in that, and like in that part of the game. But you're not going to win too many playoff games when you have Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown, and Ronel Blanco, and then from there, who else do you put in there, right? So obviously Arrighetti, Bloss will probably end up in the bullpen, right? But you don't know what you're going to get from them. And in a game about the playoffs is they're high intensity games, high leverage at bats, high, that team on the other club is going to be good. You're not going to get no poor teams in the playoffs. They're going to put up great at bats. They're going to take advantage of mistakes. And right now, you see Ronel Blanco dealing with a little fatigue. Framber Valdez has been shaky up and down. I think Hunter Brown, has this,
I
goes
mean, he's
through his.
consistent right now.
No, yeah, he is right now, but you don't know how he's going to look a few months ahead, right?
Mhm.
So I think they need one more arm just to give them a little bit more reinforcement and real like a little bit more help.
Do you think it needs to be an arm and a bat, or an arm and a reliever?
I would
Is it
say if they
between
can,
them two choices?
I'd say if they get a starting reliever, that's pretty much like I said earlier. I think their offense is good. Like even in a trade deadline, like if they don't add an offensive player, like that's fine. But they need to add some sort of pitching.
To me, I think you need a starter and you do need an additional bat. I
Okay.
just think when it comes to, and Dana Brown mentioned this, left-handed pitching against John Singleton, they don't usually like to put the analytics and the data. They look at it and they don't like to put Singleton in those matchups. And then who you bring up as your first baseman is going to be Mauricio Dubon. Well, Dubon has been shaky in these last couple of games with his bat.
Alex
So
Diaz too. You mean
yeah, and
don't forget about
Alex
him.
Diaz, who they just brought up, who just signed a minor league contract. Next thing you know, he's already up with the Astros. I don't feel confident for the Astros enough to not have a starter, which they're gonna need. And I already said that's what Dana Brown said. That's the main priority for them is getting a starting pitcher. After that, I think you do need to get a guy that has a bat. With the arms, if you think about it, if Luis Garcia comes back and they go back to a 5-man rotation, you could put Ronel Blanco in the bullpen. Same goes for
Ooh,
Arrighetti.
bullpen.
If the fatigue, dude, I mean, the innings, think about it.
Yeah.
The innings have been getting up on him. If this continues the trend of him giving up like 4 earned runs or all that, even the velocity's been a little down here and there. If that happens, if I'm in their shoes, maybe you do look at to putting him in a bullpen role, especially in that middle relief because they've been taxed as well.
Yeah.
And then Rafael Montero hasn't been pitching well as late for the Astros. Seth Martinez too, Taylor Scott. I mean, everybody's really reaching their innings mark. You can't
Yeah.
really rely on the back end of the bullpen if you don't have the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's true.
And before we end the trade deadline update, like I said, if the Astros don't make a move, what would you say? How would you rate their trade deadline? What would you say about it, basically?
I mean, again, they did add Alex Diaz to get a bat. I guess you consider that a transaction before, right? But I don't know. I would say like maybe a D, because they do need a starter, but they did add a bat. Just give it time for Alex Diaz. Just at bats. Like coming into major league hitting right away is not going to be good, but maybe he can come in clutch later on. But you need an arm. The Astros need an arm.
Yeah, that's their main focus and getting an arm. I do like the idea of getting Yainer Diaz if you're in the Astros. I'm just looking at the age. 2026. So if he avoids arbitration this year. No, 30, he's 32. He avoided arbitration. 33 contract at 2025. 2026, he has a club control. And in 2027, at the age of 35, he'll be an unrestricted free agent. So, I mean, this guy did win the batting title, I want to say. Did he win a batting title? I know he led the
I think
league,
so.
at least first baseman in the American League in batting average.
I think he won a Silver Slugger in first base, right?
I want to say so. Yeah, I think he did. But getting a guy like that and a starter, I think the Astros would be really good. If they don't get anybody like you were saying, a D, I gotta agree. I'd go honestly, maybe even an F. It'd be a disappointing trade deadline for the Astros because the Astros 7-19 start, they made their way back to first place, and then not getting a deal done, not getting a starter that you really need to make your team better. I think that'd be a very disappointing trade deadline in really maybe in club history.
They still have what, 2 more days to work with?
Yeah, Tuesday is the ending of the trade deadline. Joshua said he'd rate it an F.
He agrees with you.
So yeah, deadline ends on Tuesday. I'm trying to remember the time. I want to say it's 5 Eastern.
I think it's 5 Eastern. Yeah.
5 Eastern. Deadline ends. After that, teams, whatever they got right there, that's what they got.
Absolutely. Well, and I was what? 44
Probably
minutes.
Probably a 20-minute segment.
Yeah.
But hey, it's really important. It's important though.
It's all good though. It's all good. I mean, that's our job, to give you the best coverage, stir debates up, go through every scenarios. But let's go ahead and move on to the Carne Asada. And who's going to be bringing the meat is going to be Alex Bregman. I think he's going to be bringing those turkey legs. That's his bad legs when he faced Blake Trine. And he only got 2 hits this series, 2 for 12. But they were big. 2 home runs this series, 3 runs, 2 RBIs. The walk-off home by Alex Bregman was his 4th walk-off hit of his career, and his first since hitting his only other career walk-off home run. And his first since hitting a walk-off homer on June 27th, 2018 against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a long way. That's 6 years ago.
yeah. Who's going to bring the tortillas for the Carne Asadas and be Framber Valdez? He pitched 6 in the third, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. With wins in his 4 of his last 6 starts, Framber Valdez has moved into 5th place all time in wins by a left-handed pitcher in Astros franchise history. Before I list the other 4 guys, though, do you want to give me who is ahead of Framber Valdez in this category with wins in Astros history by a left-handed pitcher?
I'll go Dallas Keuchel.
Yes,
2015.
That's an easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think him. Man, left-handed pitching. I know Andy Pettitte is not on there just for the fact that he was with the Astros for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he is not.
Oh, you know who? Give me Wandy Rodriguez.
Wandy, yep. Wandy's on the list.
Give me Wandy Rodriguez. Man. Mike Hampton.
Mike Hampton's another one. He got one more. He's actually the leader, the one you're missing.
I really don't know a lot of lefties, but them guys, I'll be honest.
Bob Nepper is in first place with wins in Astros history for left-handed pitcher with 93 wins there. He
sounds like an 80s pitcher.
I think so. Bob Nepper's 93 wins, 100 losses. Wandy Rodriguez is second on the list with 80 wins. Mike Hampton and Dallas Keuchel are tied for third with 76 wins, and you have Framber Valdez with 62 wins there. So he's closing in on those guys. I think he's even closing in on Wandy Rodriguez. Depending if the Astros extend Framber Valdez, I think we'll tell if he breaks Bob Nepper's record.
Very impressive. I'm looking at it right now. 1981 to 1989.
Wow, 9 years, yeah.
So maybe Framber does got a shot.
Mm-hmm. So another one invited, Spencer Arrighetti. I think he needed a bounce back start, and he got it. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 strikes. That's a quality start in the books there. This was before he stepped on the mound today, but I had these stats ready. It says among AL rookies, again, before his start. So he ranked second in strikeouts with 96, add 8 more to that tally, and second in starts 18 and fourth in innings pitched with 86. So you just add 6 more to that. So, he's done pretty good so far for rookie pitchers. I think strikeouts were always going to be a big category for him just because he has great stuff. It's just command can affect them, giving up the long ball, giving up walks, hits, and all that good stuff. And then lastly, invited to the Carne Asada will be Yainer Diaz. 6 for 12 this series, batting .500 with 1 home run, 1 triple, 3 RBIs. He's up to 288 batting average. And since June 3rd, he's batting .335, 55 hits with 164 at bats, with 7 doubles, 2 triples, 5 home runs, 32 RBIs, and a .848 OPS in his last 41 games. I think he's done pretty good of late, and I think he's gotten he has 3 career triples, have all been this season too.
That's crazy. Yainer Diaz.
He just needs 8 more to tie Evan Gattis's triple record in the season. Remember that season for him?
Was that 2015?
I don't know. Let me look.
Yainer Diaz is leading the Astros in RBIs over Yordan Alvarez.
That's crazy.
Let that sink in. 57 for Diaz, 54 for Yordan. Let that
Wow.
sink in. If you would have told me that at the beginning of the season, I would have told you you're crazy. Straight up. But Yainer Diaz has been hitting the ball really well. And we talked about it too. That discipline is what's really making him not the best hitting catcher. But as of late, he has made the adjustment and he's really hitting the ball really hard. And obviously, it shows getting the RBI production, being in that 4 spot.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, yeah, Evan Gaddis's triples were in 2015. He had 11. But it's funny. In 2013, 0 triples. 14, 1 triple. 15, 11. 16,
That's a
17,
big ass.
18, all zeros.
That's a big ass jump.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell he was playing. Can't be a minute maid. But I think Bregman does like some wild soul on those on the meat. I would say that.
Somewhat.
Some wild soul, some Breggy sauce.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new brand. I want to say it's not Breggy bomb salsa no more. I think it's wild soul, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice. Nice. I didn't know that.
Put a little rub in that meat too while you're at it. But pitching preview real quick. We're gonna get this throughout the way because 51 minutes. My gosh, we have been here with you. But they're going against the
Hey, but
Pittsburgh
we have a good
Pirates.
crowd though. We have a good crowd sticking up, like hearing us out today.
Shout out to everybody out there listening to us. But like I said, Pittsburgh Pirates are coming into town. That's a former NL Central rival for the Astros. 6-4 in their last 10 games. They are, if I'm not mistaken, third or fourth in that division of the NL Central. They are third, 53 and 52 record. Obviously, they're playing the Astros. They did win and prevented a sweep against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the series against them. But Monday, man, that's going to be an exciting game to watch. I am ready to see this game, this matchup. Monday, 7:10 start time. Paul Skenes is in the building for the Pirates going against the Astros. 6-1 record, 193 ERA.
This is a real deal.
The real deal. An all-star, I would say, too. Jake Bloss, on the other hand, 0-1 record, 6.94 ERA. These guys are 2023 draft class. They are part of that, so that is pretty cool to see them being able to make history. I think Sarah Langs had a tweet out there, Angel, about I think this is like the 5th or 6th matchup, like being able to pitch in their same draft class the next year before. But Skenes, last start versus the St. Louis Cardinals, 8 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts. If you told me that stat line without telling me the score, I would tell you Paul Skenes got the win. 8 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Well, damn, he did not. Picked up his first loss of the season.
I would know. I have him on my fantasy team.
Yes, you do. We don't need Angel updates on the fantasy. In his 12 starts, I mean, getting his first loss, that's pretty impressive from the rookie. But he does have a 5-pitch arsenal. He has a 4-seamer, the sinker, the slider, the curve, and the change. You're going to see a lot of dosage of the 4-seamer, the sinker. 39.1% of the time being the 4-seamer. Averages about 99 to 100. So you're going to see a lot of that. Throws it mainly to left-handed hitters, but he will throw it and mix it around going against the right-handed hitters as well. 51 strikeouts, that is the most out of any of his pitches. Sinker, he thrown it 30% of the time, averages to 94 to 95 miles per hour, throws it more to right-handed hitters. So you see that little off-balance ratio between the left-handed and right-handed hitters. You're going to see left-handed seeing the 4-seamer more than the right-handers. Same goes for the sinkers, righties to lefties. Real quick, we'll go with the percentages of the slider, 16.7, curveball, 10.8, and changeup, I believe it's like a 3%. Hardly throws it to anybody, but don't be surprised if he does throw it. And then just to knock off the rest of the good stuff he has, just electric, Angel. Just that's pretty much the word I can really say about Paul Skenes. 2.03 or 0.203 expected batting average. That's top 9% of the league. 245 WOBA, top 8% of the league. 254 expected WOBA, top 3% of the league. 34.2 strikeout percentage, top 4% of the league. 4.6 walk percentage, so that means he doesn't give up a lot of walks. Top 7% of the league, and 2.55 expected ERA, top 3% of the league.
Crazy. I mean, he was an all-star for a reason. All-star for a reason.
Exactly.
Do you think
he got out that inning?
Do you think he has Rookie of the Year locked for the National League?
Ooh, I think he honestly might. Who's going to give a run for his money? If you can think at the top of your head, because I can't really think at the top of my head either.
I don't know.
Let me go with Bloss real quick. Last start against the Oakland Athletics, 4 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. All 3 starts have pitched under 5 innings in his debut. Obviously, everybody had seen that he did come out of that game. That was 3 2/3. The last 2 starts were only 4 innings. The kid has some good stuff. A lot of swing and misses as well. It's just the command. The command is very inconsistent. If he could get that knocked down, then he has a good chance to be still with the Astros when Justin Verlander comes back. But if, like I said, the command is very inconsistent. If he could get the command going, then there's a different story to Jake Bloss.
All right, I got the National League for Poskins. So actually, Poskins right now has the best odds to win the National League Rookie of the Year. His competition is Jackson Merrill from the Padres, Shota Imangana from the Cubs, Gavin Stone, Dodgers, Mason Wynn, Joey Ortiz, Jackson Churrillo, and Michael Bush.
He has it locked. I'm sorry. He has it locked. Unless something happens like what Shota Imanaga was going through in his last couple starts, something like that happens, maybe there's a shot for some of these other rookies. Jackson Merrill has actually been really good for the Padres.
Yeah.
Infielder turned into an outfielder.
I think the American needs a little bit more competitive for Rookie of the Year. You got Colton Cowser, Luis Gill, White Langford, Sedan Rafaela, Austin Wells, Colt Keith, Wilmer Abreu, Mason Miller. You got all those guys there.
Yeah, that is a very tough situation. Tuesday, 7:10 start time. The Padres have yet to still announce who's going to be on their list. But it's to be determined. Hunter Brown's going for the Astros with a 9.6 record with a 4 ERA. Brown, real quick, his last start against the Oakland Athletics, 6 innings, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. 8-1 their last 9 starts. Pitched through 6 innings in his last 12 starts and leads the team with 12 quality starts. I really don't have nothing to say about Hunter Brown. He's just been dominating in each and every of his last couple starts.
Yeah, this season for Hunter Brown reminds me of Blake Snell when he won Cy Young. Was it last year? He started off 2 years ago. Last year, 2 years ago. He started off.
What was it again?
That Hunter Brown season reminds me of Blake Snell's Cy Young season, where Blake Snell started.
22, I want to say.
Was it 22? Well,
no. Last year.
It was last year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he started kind of poor and then just turned it around and with a snap of a finger. I think he's doing pretty good. He's almost to an ERA of 3. If he can pitch great this year, I think he gets there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, shit. He started at a 9 ERA. Just think about that. All the way to 4. That's very impressive by the kid. Wright State alum. Shout out to all them guys out there. Wednesday, 7:10 start time. Martin Perez, 2-5 record with a 5.20 ERA. He'll be going against La Grasa, Framber Valdez, 9.5 with a 3.43 ERA. And Perez, I mean, the Astros have seen him from his times with the Rangers, seen him with the Boston Red Sox. So the Astros do have a good taste of Perez. Last start against the Cardinals, 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. His career versus the Astros, he is 10-8 with a 3.72 ERA. In his last 6 starts against Houston, he has a record of 1-4 and has given up a total of 23 earned runs. So, like I said, the Astros have a good repetition against him. Just to give a little bit more stats off of him, he gives up a lot of hard hit contact, 117.4 exit velo. That's like bottom 6% of the league. And then struggles on the road being away from PNC Park, 6.44 ERA. Opponent batting average is 3.29, and a opponent slugging is a 5.53.
Yeah, I think when Martin Perez, sometimes he just has the Astros number when he was with the Texas Rangers. But the Astros have seen him, so they might be able to take advantage.
Definitely. I'm not going to read off Framber Valdez because we did already say his stat line in the beginning of the show. But this is a great series for the Astros to take advantage. I mean, the Pirates don't give up on them. They're still a great team. I'm pretty sure they will be buying. I did read something about they were close to getting Jazz Chisholm at the trade deadline. Yeah, so these guys are still buying. They got a good young core over there. Key Brian Hayes is still good. Obviously, that rotation is going to be good in the future with Merrill Kelly, Paul Skenes, and Jared Jones. So this team is really looking good for the future.
Yeah, but thank you for that pitching preview. Wonderful pitching preview. But to go ahead and just get it going to the train station. Just go with some injury updates real quick. Kyle Tucker, he's still doing defensive drills. Espada said that he's still improving, but not at the pace we want him to. Tucker was throwing with Joe Espada in the outfield but there's still no big update. Do you think some frustrations brewing in like with Dana Brown until it's about that Kyle Tucker's still not back?
I mean, it's frustrating. You can't say that, and you can't take that away from them two guys because this is a guy that's an MVP for this team. Um, and I think it'd be a different story if the Astros were losing. Right
Okay.
now, they're winning right now at the pace that they're at. Hitting's looking really good. Defense too. Joey Luperfito's been playing real good defense out there. Of course, Trey Cabbage throwing the no-fly zone over there in Seattle. So guys just stepping up at the plate, and being from the offense standpoint to the defensive standpoint. So I'm pretty sure there is some frustration there, but you rather have a 100% healthy Kyle Tucker than a 75 to 90% healthy Kyle Tucker, especially at the trend that they're at, maybe getting to the postseason.
Yeah, and then like another guy waiting to come back is just a Verlander. He played catch and said he feels really good. Verlander also threw a bullpen that went really well recently, as Spada said. And then Verlander threw over 50 pitches. The next step is for JV to throw off the game out next week. He'll have batters in the box tracking the ball. So kind of like how, um, like Luis Garcia
Luis
did it.
Garcia.
And then after that, you probably need a uh, rehab assignment before he's back on the mound. Speaking of Luis Garcia, he threw a bullpen today. He threw 35 pitches. Garcia said he felt really good. Luis Garcia would throw a live bullpen on Tuesday or Wednesday, according to Joe Espada. So, I mean, there's guys on the verge of coming back. They just have a few hurdles to jump, a few rehab assignments to do, and then they'll be back in the lineup. I would say maybe by the mid-August, end of August for these guys, could be potentially back in the lineup, which is good news for Astros fans and for the Astros as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. These two guys, and like I said, if they could get a starter, the rotation is going to look good. I really, really feel confident that that rotation, if they do get a starter, is on the verge of going AL, could go straight to the ALCS 8 consecutive years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chance. You got to make some deals happen, but like it starts with the core, right? So, like, in order for the Astros to have a good farm system, starts by their draft picks, and I mean, good news right there. The Houston Astros have signed 18 members of their 2024 MLB draft class, along with 6 non-drafted free agents. Starting off with their first rounder, I think the first rounder is usually the guy that takes pretty long time to sign because they're the first round pick for some reason. They're gonna want some money. So catcher Walker Janik signed for $3,130,000. So pretty good paycheck there. Astros third rounder right-handed pitcher Ryan Ferrucci signed for $997,500. He's recovered. He just had Tommy John surgery in early June, so he's recovering from that. But I think he should be pitching sometime next year.
Yeah, no, you have to be very excited for the future of the Astros, and that's what we're saying. I mean, Dana Brown is a former VP of, when it comes to drafting these players. So I feel very confident what the Astros are trying to do for the future of this team.
Yeah, and then the Tampa Bay Rays have been super busy this offseason. So let's go to around the horn. Bear with me because it's the hot stove right now. Like, we have the hot stove in the offseason, we have the hot stove in the trade deadline. But let me start with Miami. I feel like one of the biggest trades so far. Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees for Augustine Ramirez. So Augustine Ramirez becomes the Marlins' 4th ranked prospect now that he's with the Marlins. Jared Serna plays second base, becomes Miami's 8th ranked prospect, and then they also added shortstop Abraham Ramirez. So I mean, I'd say it was a good trade for both teams. Miami, who's, I think it was just crazy because they made the playoffs last year, are in kind of rebuilding mode, right? Kind of like trading some prospects, some key guys away for some prospects. But Tampa Bay, bear with me on this one because they've been pretty busy this offseason. I would say the biggest trade was Tampa Bay traded outfielder Randy Arozarena to Seattle for right-handed pitcher Brody Hopkins, Aiden Smith, and a player to be named later. This is a trade that Lorenzo was talking about earlier. I think I think Tampa Bay got a pretty good steal. I'm sorry, Seattle got a pretty good steal from Randy Arozarena. They didn't really give up too much of their, I would say, high-valued prospects there.
Yeah. This division is going to be very interesting after this trade deadline. I'll say what the schedule looks like after we get through around the horn.
Perfect. And then I would say the second biggest trade to be Isaac Baez to the Cubs. The Cubs, who are 5 games back of the NL Central, and give me a second to see how far
They're
they're
five
back.
games back of the NL Central. Oh yeah, you're
Yes.
right. 51 and 56. I got it right here with me actually.
No, sorry.
Wild card.
No, sorry. 10 games back of the NL Central. I'm probably thinking wild card.
5 games back of that last wild
That's why I
card
got
spot.
confused back. Yeah, so that's why I got confused back. There's 10 games back from the NL Central, but 5 games back from that wild card. I think that third wild card spot has just brought teams a chance. What's 5 games to make up? Like you saw the Astros make up 10 games in what 20 something days.
Mhm.
So I mean, 5 games is nothing, especially down the stretch. So I mean, hats off to them. Uh, but they got Isaac Perez for Christopher Morel, Hunter Big, and ran a pitcher Ty Johnson. What do you think of that trade? You think that was a trade the Astros could have done?
Yeah, I think they could have, but I think the difference between them is the Christopher Morel one. I mean, Morel made his MLB debut what 2 or 3 years ago,
I
so he
believe
has a
so.
lot of team control. He's a young guy that could play the outfield and the infield. And I'm pretty sure he might play outfield just for the fact their outfield depth's not the best. But it could have been a trade that the Astros could have done. I just would have liked to see what the offer was,
Mhm.
just to
Yeah.
just to see.
Well, Tampa Bay stayed busy by trading right-handed pitcher Jason Smith uh, for right-handed pitcher Dylan Lesko, outfielder Homer Bush, and catcher JD Gonzalez. Those prospects were from the Padres, I believe. So the Padres got Jason Adams, and the Padres gave up those 3 prospects to Tampa. And then Tampa Bay traded Zach Eflin to Baltimore for right-handed pitcher Jackson Baumeister, outfielder Matthew Edsel, and outfielder Mark Harvest. How many prospects did the Tampa Bay Rays just get there?
Dude, they're loaded. Was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? And I'm missing the 9, 10, and then the player to be named. So that'll be 11, unless it's an MLB player that's ready. And then you got a player that's already in the bigs. This is Christopher Morel. So you got 10 to 11 prospects and a MLB ready player in Christopher Morel.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, but this is why baseball is exciting. All these trade pieces, guys moving around, and I think Phillies landed a big one. Phillies traded for Carlos Estevez from the Angels, which I think that's a good one for them. For right-handed pitcher George Clason and left-handed pitcher Samuel Outgary.
It's gonna be a good bullpen, dude. That's gonna be
Yeah,
a good bullpen.
yeah. Well, they also added some outfield depth too. Baltimore traded outfielder Austin Hayes to the Phillies for right-handed pitcher Sir Anthony Dominguez and outfielder Christian Pache. So I mean, and there's trades that we talked about earlier that we haven't said with the Rangers doing something too, but
Carson
they
Kelly.
yeah, there's been some minor trades here and there, but we wanted to focus on the big ones, and I think those are the big ones there. But a lot is brewing, a lot is going on, and just beware because the teams are not done. Teams are not.
No, I'm pretty sure GMs are on the phone right now trying to get their team better. At 10:20 over there in Eastern time, 9:20 being the Central. Let's give Rocky Mountains a little bit of love. 8:20 in the Rocky Mountains, and then
7:20.
7:20 in West Coast time.
Yeah.
But a little bit to end it. Tony said Loper Fido strikeout 36% rate. He does have a high strikeout rate, but that's a rookie. He's gonna get better. Just I really firm, and you've already mentioned it. I don't think they give him up. I really don't. They see something bright in him. He said Mariners have a tough August stretch starting with the Red Sox tomorrow. And that's what I was going to talk about with the schedule. Let's get rid of Tony's cons. He was really into it. What's the Cubs doing? They are in last place. I mean, they're making their team better some way, somehow. I mean, I really don't have nothing to say about that. Tampa is the Oklahoma City Thunder of baseball with all these pieces. That is a great comparison right there. But the Astros schedule going into August, I think is going to be a tough one. I think it's a gauntlet, honestly. Starting off in at home, Tampa Bay Rays coming to town. Then they got a how many games is that? 3, 6, 9 game road stretch going to Texas to go against the Rangers, the Red Sox at Fenway, and then going back to the Trop to place against the Tampa Bay Rays. After that, they play the White Sox at home and the Red Sox at home. Then they travel to Baltimore with a 4-game series against them at Camden Yards. Then they go to Philadelphia to play the Phillies of a 2022 World Series rematch. After that, they welcome Kansas City at home.
Who were you talking about?
This is the Astros schedule
Oh,
in
Astros schedule. Sorry.
August. Do you have Seattle on yours right now?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and read that schedule.
So Seattle goes to Boston for 3 games there. Then they host the Philadelphia Phillies. Then they host the Detroit Tigers. After that, they host the New York Mets. Then they go back. So then they go to Detroit, go to Pittsburgh, go to LA for the Dodgers. Then they face San Francisco at home, Tampa Bay at home, and then they finish it off with the Angels on the road.
Which the Angels did sweep them over there at T-Mobile.
Yeah.
But both teams, honestly, looks like a schedule that's going to be very important for both squads because after August, you got one more month of baseball left.
Yeah.
So very crucial for both teams who are fighting for that AL West first place
Who do
spot
the Astros end with, like the last series?
of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They will travel to Cleveland.
I would say the Mariners host Oakland.
Mariners host Oakland on their last series of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very favorable matchup for them than the
That's what I'm
Astros.
saying.
With
So the
Cleveland.
Astros needs to have a little advantage. Going there.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very, I would say, exciting ride. Honestly, the last 2 months of baseball, teams are trying to fight for a spot in not just in their division, but in the postseason, in them wild cards. Mariners, Mariners are no longer feasting on the White Sox. Obviously, they did sweep them over there in Chicago, which they had guys like Eric Fetty, Garrett Crochet on the mound, and two of those, and Drew Thorpe, I believe, too.
Mm-hmm.
So they had kind of a good matchup. For, I mean, at least in the White Sox, but they're riding a 14-game losing streak. We didn't even mention that.
Who are the White Sox?
The White Sox.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, Angel, I mean, this was a long episode, but it was a good one because, like we said, trade deadline's here. Trade deadline is here. Tuesday's the last day of all the teams trying to get better and see where they can rank in the National League and the American League. But we shout out to everybody on, like Angel said, we had a great crowd tonight on this beautiful Sunday night, getting ready for that work week. If you don't know where to follow us, look at the social and look at the ticker below. Twitter, we got Full Steam Ahead. TikTok as well. Instagram is FSA Full Steam Ahead. Go check out our socials as well as our content, as well as the podcast platforms from Spotify to Apple. A lot of people on our Twitter right now looking at our show. If you're on Twitter, make sure you go to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We're trying to boost them numbers up. We will be doing a giveaway pretty soon. Because we're almost at 2,900 on Twitter. We are almost at 1,000 on Instagram. So make sure you go give us them follows right there. We'll make sure to put that giveaway pretty soon. But Angel, you got anything else before we sign off?
No, just thank you for listening again. Like Lorenzo said, we had a good crowd staying up with us, bearing with us for this podcast, and we appreciate y'all. Appreciate everything I do.
Definitely. Astros porn series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's see if they do take two or, maybe never know. Get a sweep out of it. Until then, y'all start off that Monday strong. Have a blessed start to your week, and we will give you that recap of the Pirates and get that welcoming series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Y'all stay blessed. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.